Hi everyone, Zarina here with another painting episode. Welcome to the channel. Today I've got my sketchbook out and it's project day. I'm thinking for December some sort of maybe monochromatic work. So the project idea is monochromes, which could be blacks and whites with tones of grey, or it could be one colour, lights and darks of the one colour. So it's kind of like a tonal painting, you know. I've got some charcoal here today. I've got some oil pastel. I've got a Noir de. I've also got my white, which is also the de, but it's the Kryla range. And it's the one that I've been using. A favourite at the moment. So when you're talking about monochromatic work, you're kind of talking about blacks and whites. So you've got some stark contrasts, but then also some tonal contrasts. So, you know, this sort of thing. And I was thinking, you know, it's kind of been like snowy weather. Well, it wasn't snowy weather for very long, but, you know, it was snowy weather. And I think, you know, this kind of fits. So I'm just laying down some marks, really. And this is charcoal. And you can do kind of, you know, as much smudging or as less smudging as you want, really. And you can use a fixative to fix it too. So, you know, that's my smudging. Yeah, so this is, unless I add like a colour, this is a monochromatic piece of work. I mean, the only other paint, the only other thing, paint or pastel, I'll add would probably be a white. And you can use pastel to get in there and, you know. Get some marks in there. So I'm just using the pastel at the minute. I usually like to use paint with it as well. So I probably will. I don't know. Should I bother using paint with it? Don't know. What's this in the sky? Don't know. Who knows? I could just give it like a nice... Yeah. And we've got, as you can see, grubby hands. And we might have to try and brush that off a little bit. Ooh, actually that creates something nice, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, that's just an idea. I'm just going to try and get all this off now. Onto a bit of tissue. There it is. That's going in the bin. But that is colour, so you could use it actually. Something else if you wanted to. And with pastel, actually, you build up the painting. You know. I must admit, I don't usually use a lot of pastel, but, you know, it can be really interesting and fun. And of course, I'm thinking of, I don't know, wintry weather, cold ground, that sort of thing. Let's add in some more. Let's add in some stalks. And do something with them. And this is kind of an abstract, I suppose, because obviously most of my stuff is. And sometimes they venture into the territory of the real, but they're never quite real. They're more like surreal, actually, I would say. Oh, I rather like that, what's happened there. Anyway, so that's pastel, and you can use that to create tonal effects. More darken, you know. It's always good to have, sorry. It's always good to have like some vibrant bits of dark here and there, you know. That's Put bird. Oh no, it's wrong way round. That should be that way around. That one's gone wrong. Yeah, take that one out. I don't know what that is. It's probably a cloud or something. Maybe it's an aeroplane. This is where your imagination can just run wild. Okay, so that's the pastel in monochrome. That's the only thing I don't like about it, really. It's all this debris you get. And if you brush it, then of course your marks are different, so you don't always want to brush it. You might just want to, you know, do this sort of thing onto some tissue. Let's get it off. Yeah, there we are. Right, so that's pastel. And then I thought I'd show you something in paint. And I've already done some actually this week. This gone week. I've done some monochromatic work from a walk I did. But yeah, so with that I used this one actually. And I kind of like using it neat. You've seen me previously on the channel using neat paint just on the paper. For the fun of it, really. There it is. And I've got some water here. I mean, this is my small palette knife. I've got a various bunch of brushes. You can use any brush, really. Doesn't even matter. So I'm just gonna mess around, actually maybe with a brush perhaps. Create some, there you go. Something going on. Maybe it's shrubbery or whatever, you know, I don't know, could be. And then if we move it around a bit, sort of thing you do in watercolour really, where you move it around, it becomes something interesting. Well, because this paper isn't that great, you know, it's not necessarily gonna move around very nicely, but I don't know, maybe it will. Oh, it's nice to put like thin lines in, isn't it? You know. And as you can see, you've got some really dark areas, and then you've got the lighter tones, and kind of that's what it's all about. That's what monochromatic work's all about. Dark areas and light areas, and some really white areas. So it's a good idea to leave the white or to add some in. Where's my white gone? Now I'm going to actually mop up some of this because a little bit too much of it. Ooh, that's quite nice. I like that line there. But I'm going to add some of this. Let's see what happens. I'm going to use this brush, which is probably a 6 or something. Probably. It hasn't got any number on it anymore. Just going to add in a bit of white. I mean, this doesn't have to be a done deal or anything, because I'm just sort of, you know, messing around with the idea of monochromes. But, you know, it could be a done deal, but it doesn't have to. Thinking of a snowy ground there, I suppose. But I don't know, it doesn't have to be snowy. Just because you're putting blacks and whites doesn't mean it has to be snowy. You don't have to make a snowy painting as such if you don't want to. And you can make it as interesting or chaotic as you want, really. And sometimes throwing some water in there actually is quite nice, isn't it, to do that sort of thing. And that's the kind of thing you do with watercolour, really. But yeah, you can do it with just mixing on the palette. Oh, look at that. That's quite nice, isn't it, what's happened here? Little stars or something. I like that. I don't need to have it all over the place. I could take some of this out. You know, you can actually mop up a little bit of it if you want to. If you think, oh, I've got too much. There you go. That sort of thing. Yeah. You know, and you develop this, of course. I mean, just sketching really. So you develop it into something or other. So that's kind of the idea with monochrome stuff. Maybe that's just too much there. Too much sameness, to be honest. Oops, let's wipe that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Don't know what's going on there. Anyway, yeah, you get the idea. You can just, like, you know, mess around until you've got kind of what you want. I'm liking this idea of throwing the paint on it. A bit of white. Kind of creates movement. I was talking about movement for November, this motion. I think dots also create some sort of movement, don't they? I mean, it's almost like there's lights or something in the distance there. I reckon, you know, probably this half needs working somehow. You could even do that, couldn't you, really? Couldn't, you know. Could even do this sort of thing. Just because, you know, if it's too fussy, you know, then it's a bit annoying. Whereas if you've got, like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's quite nice. All right, let me just mop some of that up. Yeah, there we are. So having kind of blocks of areas of tone is, oh sorry, it's also a good idea. Well, it's very busy here, isn't it? I've got loads of things going on. Anyway, so that's the with the paint, you know, monochromatic stuff with black and white. But then what about a colour? What about if you want to use a colour? You don't want to use black and white. What do you do then? So I should let that dry, actually. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to come back in a minute. So while that's drying, I just wanted to share this painting I did in my sketchbook yesterday. And it was kind of a variation on the one we did last week. So last week we sort of were inspired, well, I was inspired by a snowy walk. And it's quite subtle, that painting is. But then I went ahead and did another one a couple of days later. And it's kind of more busy, there's more detail, and there's more lights and darks. So there's a lot more contrast in there. You've got some really quite dark areas and some really bright areas. So I thought that was quite nice. You know, there's a sort of a difference there. I feel this is more busy, there's more to look at. Yeah. I've still got to finish this sketchbook off. Anyway, let's bring back the other painting. Yeah, so monochromatic paintings don't just apply to landscape. Could be abstract, could be still life, you know. So I'm going to use this blue. And I could mix it on the palette. But first of all, I'm going to start by putting some on the paper, on the book. I'll just spread it around a little bit in a kind of a frame. And now to that I can add white to make it lighter, hitting here and there. And I can also add a sort of a black to make it darker. So let's start with the white, which is something, oops, daisy. So that one's not quite dry, so I've got my sketchbook angled at a funny angle, I suppose, but yeah. Right, so I'm going to use the white. I've got my palette there just in case. It's a linen one this time, and I'd already been painting on it, but that's okay. Right, so I'm going to use I'll probably use the number 8. I'll just dry it. It's a bit wet. Right, so just gonna, there you go, see? Just make different tones with the blue and the white. And at the moment it is just blue and white. I'm just dipping in neat. Which don't do if you think you're gonna put it all in there and ruin your white. So I'm not really that fussed, but you know, if you can put it on your palette if you want to. Let me not give you bad habits if you don't want them. Yeah, so that's quite nice, isn't it, actually? Yeah, so you can see you can get some nice tonal blues with the white, you know. And the white is not going to be totally white because I've got blue on the brush. So this will be a kind of a tonal painting, and I don't know what it's going to be. It's an abstract at the moment. It's just an adventure in colour and tone, and specifically one. And actually it's quite nice, isn't it, just painting like that? Isn't that fun? Get your brushes out if you haven't got them out. Get your brushes out. What's this? Looks like a little bird or something. I might leave that. It's quite interesting. I've messed it up though already, haven't I? Doesn't matter. Yeah, so I'm just using white really at the moment, but I think I might use a bit of black. So that's mixing the white with the blue here and there. There we are. Quite nice. And you know, you could go on mixing and painting for a lot, you know, I do, ages if you want to. Because the whole action of it is just fun, isn't it? It's just fun just to mix that colour. Right, okay, so I've got some of the white done. Now where's my black gone? There it is. And I'm going to use a different brush for the black, I think. Right, so I'm going to use this one, this brush, and I'm just going to put a tiny, now black goes further than white, so a tiny bit's going to go a long way, as you can see. Really, I need to put more blue on, I think. I'm going to put a blob of blue in the corner, and I think with black, maybe you do actually have to mix it on a palette, to be fair, because right, okay, there you go, that's a darker blue now. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? Sort of an indigo now. And of course mixing with the white slightly is making it an even different colour. Oh yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what it is, what it is that is developing at the moment. I'm just having fun with the painting mechanism. It's a funny brush actually, because it's you know, it's definite brush strokes. It's quite a coarse brush. Probably wasn't very expensive either, to be honest. Yeah, so as you can see, that's like a catchphrase, isn't it? I've now got kind of a wintry scene going on, you know, with some sort of mechanical penguin perhaps. And I don't know what this is up here. See, I'm tempted now to put more white on it because I do like mixing with white. And now we've got this other colour going on, this other blue. Now you can just pop in a bit of water if you don't really want to add any other paint. No, totally up to you really. I like to go right up to the edges. I'm actually popping some white on. But that's just me. It's because I like to go right up to the edges really. Kind of finishes it off for me. But you don't have to. Yeah, anyway, there it is. I don't know if I should do anything more with it really. It's just an idea really. It's not supposed to be like a whole full-blown painting anyway, but the idea of tonal contrast and how that is sort of a monochromatic experience, for want of a better word. There you go. Now I put some white. Oh yeah, okay, take it off, yeah. I like him. He looks like a bit like a bird or something, doesn't he? Right, anyway, there you go. something slightly abstract, a bit more surreal abstract actually. If you wanted to do something more blocky, you could have like blocks of or squares or whatever, you know, and you can add to it as well. But I think I'm done, and really just looking at the idea of monochromatic painting. So it could be one colour that you've changed tonally using a black or a white, or it could be black and white, which obviously when you mix black and white together, the tones change. And you can do that with anything really. I mean, I did it with the pastel, and there's the paint. And you can use the, mine are really grubby, aren't they? Oil pastels. You can use oil pastels, but I won't today. I think the video is long enough, so I'm going to leave it at that. And yeah, have fun painting.